So I have been in a relationship for 2.5 years now. And before that, I was single for 9 years. And because of my personality and my circumstances, when I was single for those 9 years, I did not really go onto any dates. I only went on a single date. And that was actually towards the end of that period of being single for 9 years. So I was the type of guy who would watch a lot of videos on YouTube on the sort of manosphere stuff, red pill stuff, and I was becoming increasingly cynical about finding a good woman. And that's why I want to make this video. That's why I want to make these types of videos. I want to reach other men who are in a similar situation that I was in for so long. Because the fact of the matter is that most people would like to have a partner. And the thing is, there's a lot of guys out there who go their own way, so to speak. Men go in their own way. And I respect that. I respect everybody who learns about themselves so much that they are able to make a decision. They are able to come to a conclusion. So if you are watching this and you are somebody who knows for sure that you want to be single forever, all the power to you. That's awesome. But here's the interesting thing. Usually, when I make videos like this, I do end up getting a bunch of comments from guys who say things like, anything is cheaper than a woman. And a woman only brings you stress and drama and anxiety. There's nothing good about modern women, etc. And I can't help but to think that if you are happy with your decision, you're happy with your lifestyle, why would you leave a comment like that? And please do leave a comment what you think about all of this. But to me, it's a little bit strange. If you're living your life happily, why would you say those things that I just mentioned? Well, my theory is that those men are, I don't know how to say it, so I guess I'm just going to be straightforward. I think those men are full of shit. They are lying to themselves. I don't care what you tell me, but I do care what you tell yourself. Because I was a guy like that when I was single for 9 years. I would tell myself, I'm ready to be single forever. I don't need anybody. I'm happy. And I was. I was happy for the most part. The only times where I felt lonely were the times when I hung out with my friends for the weekend. And then my friends would leave, and I would know they would go home to their girlfriend or their wife, and I would be alone for the rest, of the Sunday or whatever. That was the only time where I genuinely felt lonely. I felt like crap, but those were the only times. Other than that, I was so used to being alone that I didn't really care. So, anyway, as somebody who was happy being single for 9 years, how has it been to be in a relationship for 2.5 years? That's something I wanted to share in this video after the long intro. After having said all that, ultimately, I wanted to make this video to share a little bit about what it has been like to be in a relationship compared to when I was single. And just so you know, my first relationship in my very early 20s was a very toxic one. So I actually have a toxic relationship in the past that I can compare this current healthy relationship to. That's why I understand what it's like to be in a toxic relationship. I understand what it's like to be single for a long time. And now I understand what it's like to be in a healthy relationship. And I was in fact inspired to make this video because I just had my friends over this past weekend. You can see the whiskey over there. We were drinking, we were listening to music, we were playing Warhammer 40k, and I actually had to bring my speakers here to my home gym because my girlfriend was staying at my house and she wanted to sleep. So I had to bring my speakers to my home gym instead of spending the night in my own house. And that made me think about the difference. If I was still single, I would have stayed in the house. But now I'm in a relationship and I'm kicked out of my own house, which, it was my idea and my decision to do that. I would, but it's easy for me to imagine that some guys would think, yeah, well, see, That's only the beginning. Wait until you get married. You are gonna get kicked out. A lot of other things too. And, these kinds of thoughts crossed my mind because I was single for so long and I was myself always thinking about these things. I was looking at couples and, marriages. I have seen a very ugly divorce, by the way, in happened to a very close person in my life. So I also have kind of seen what that can be like. So these things, they cross our minds, I think, for most of us. But especially, particularly if you are single for a long time and you watch all kinds of red pill content online. So let's get into it. I actually made some notes for this video about the differences, about some very common things that men can relate to. Men who are in relationships or marriages, a lot of them can relate to. When I had my friends over, I couldn't start drinking alcohol immediately because I had to wait for my girlfriend to arrive at a bus stop and then I had to go pick her up with my car. So that was the first thing that was different compared to if I was single. Obviously, it's actually a good thing because I drank less, but nevertheless, it's an example of how I had to worry about somebody else instead of spending a weekend with my friends with no distractions. And it just so happened that when she arrived, she was in a bad mood. I'm not going to go into detail why she was in a bad mood, but I can tell you this. It was something that would never happen with any of my male friends. My male friends would not be moody about something that she was moody about. This is not to say it wasn't valid. It was very valid. And that's something also you have to understand about women. I'm going to go into the dynamics between men and women here in a second. But anyway, she was moody and I left her in the main house and I came here to the home gym to, play the 40K with my friends and listen to music, etc. But now I was in a situation where I knew that in my house I had a woman who was moody, who was in a bad mood. Now here's what I have, thankfully, learned about myself and about women. I knew that I shouldn't give it too much thought. I shouldn't sacrifice too much of my energy to that fact. So I left her in the main house and I came back here and I played with my friends. And I didn't think too much about it. In the beginning of the relationship, maybe I would have. And in my first relationship, I wouldn't have focused on my friends. I would have focused on my woman because that's how much of a child I was in my first relationship. I always sacrificed so much. I always cared way too much. And there's a difference. It's not that you shouldn't care about a woman and when she's in a bad mood. You should care. Of course, you should care about somebody you love, but you have to distinguish. Have you done something actually bad? Have you is there reason for you to sacrifice your energy for that moodiness today? Or is there no reason? Because if you understand yourself and your woman and how relationships work between men and women, you learn when you have to give your woman time and how much time. And you also learn that you can't fix your woman. You can't fix a feeling. If a woman has negative emotions going on through her mind and body, you can't fix that. It's not something you need to fix. It's something that's going to pass. And you do need to, maybe comfort her a little bit. Maybe, of course, acknowledge her to an extent, but you shouldn't obsess over it or focus on it too much. So anyway, I'll just cut to the end of the weekend so then we can move on to the other thing on my list. Everything went well. She cooked amazing dinner for us, me and my friends. And, she said things like, I wish you were here with me. And things like, I wish you came to sleep with me, as I stayed up very late with my friends and went to the sauna and kept on drinking. But as I've said many times by now, I have learned the dynamics between men and women, especially in this relationship, and therefore I didn't really give it too much thought, and I was able to enjoy my friends and enjoy the night, unlike in the past where I would have just been thinking the whole time, how do I fix her? How do I fix her emotions? But now I know you even can't, so you shouldn't worry about it too much. So anyway, on Sunday, my friends left. I didn't feel lonely because I had my woman in my house, and she was very happy, and I was very happy. Everything was happy. Everything was good. So it didn't matter that she was in a bad mood on the Saturday. And long story short, that's what you do. Women are moody. Women get upset over things that your male friends would never get upset over, and that's fine. And you just, go with the flow. And the most important thing is to remain stoic. Stoicism is truly a superpower in a relationship with a woman. You have to be able you have to be able to be mindful, understand your own emotions, and not lash out, and just let things pass and learn that emotions indeed do pass. So ultimately, the difference between me being single in the past and me being in a relationship now, there was more drama, there was more distraction. But the end result was I got amazing dinner. I got to go to sleep next to her. I got to wake up next to her. I got to not feel lonely. I got to spend the Sunday in a hangover with a person, with a woman who I love. So that's a very clear win. But a lot of guys online, especially, they would just get stuck and obsess over the fact that there was extra drama. So many guys, they all they talk about is how women bring drama. But why does it matter? If you just remain calm and stoic, the drama doesn't matter. Women have always been dramatic, and women will always remain dramatic. So, us men, we have to be calm and stoic and just, you know, weather the storm. And that's just what it is. It's always been like that. There's nothing new here. So, ultimately, my life this weekend was better than it would have been in the past when I was single. But anyway, this video is already so long that I am actually going to save the next part for another video. I'm going to talk a little bit about expenses and freedom, because now I went through kind of worry and drama and distraction. But in the next video, I'm going to go through expenses and freedom. Do I have less freedom? And how much more expenses do I have? And what does it matter? What does it mean to me as a man that I do spend more money when I'm in a relationship with a woman than I would if I was single? I would save more money if I was single. That's a fact. But what does it mean? Why does it matter? And do I care? But anyway, that's it for today's video because it's pretty long already. I understand that you guys are busy. Everybody in this world is busy, even if you're just a regular dude. So thank you for watching. Please leave a like for the algorithm on YouTube, and consider subscribing if you're interested in this kind of thing. As I said, I have background from a toxic relationship and then being single, being kind of red pilled and into this, men going their own way type of thing. And what else? I have passed with porn addiction also. That's something I talk about, something that affected me a lot in my life. And yeah, now I'm in a healthy relationship. And a lot of people always say, just wait until you get married. Just wait until it's been 5 years instead of 2.5. And I say, yeah, I'll wait and I'll keep you posted because I'm probably going to keep making these videos for, I don't even know, at least 10 years or something. So, subscribe and see what's going to happen because I'm going to post about it if something happens. If those guys were right and suddenly my relationship would be toxic and terrible, I would actually talk about it. So that's worth considering if you're thinking about whether you want to subscribe or not. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.